Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am so grateful you have joined me today. And I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There comes a time in every man's life when the voices around him must grow silent. The noise of opinions, the pressure of expectations, and the constant demand for attention can cloud his vision and weaken his spirit. But a man who spends time alone understands the power of silence. He knows that in the quiet moments, he discovers who he truly is. Alone, he confronts his fears, wrestles with his doubts, and finds clarity that the crowd could never offer. Solitude is not loneliness, it is a sacred space where a man meets himself. It's in these moments of stillness that the greatest transformations happen. When he steps away from the noise, he begins to hear the whispers of purpose calling him. He realizes that he is not defined by what others think, but by the potential within him that only he can unlock. A man who spends time alone learns the art of self-leadership. Before he can lead a family, a team, or a community, he must first lead himself. He must discipline his mind, master his emotions, and align his actions with his values. This kind of strength cannot be built in the crowd. It is forged in the solitude where no one is watching. In solitude, he becomes creative. The distractions of the world fade, and his mind opens to new ideas, visions, and strategies. History's greatest breakthroughs came not in the noise of gatherings, but in the silence of a single mind daring to think differently. And let me tell you something else. Solitude teaches a man emotional maturity. He no longer reacts impulsively or seeks validation from others. Instead, he becomes a pillar of stability, grounded in the confidence that he has built in private. The storms of life may come, but he stands firm because he has anchored himself in purpose and wisdom. But perhaps the greatest power of solitude is spiritual growth. In the quiet, a man seeks the face of God, and in that divine encounter, he gains strength and wisdom beyond himself. He begins to see his life not as a series of random events, but as a part of a greater plan. When a man spends time alone, he is not withdrawing from life, he is preparing for it. He emerges from his solitude with a renewed vision, a deeper sense of purpose, and the courage to lead. The world needs men who are not afraid to stand alone, men who have met themselves in solitude and discovered their destiny. If you find yourself in a season of aloneness, embrace it. It is not a punishment, it is preparation. Let it mold you, shape you, and reveal to you the greatness that lies within. For the man who spends time alone will return stronger, wiser, and ready to impact the world in ways he never imagined. Self-discovery is the foundation of a man's true identity. It is in solitude that a man begins to peel away the layers of expectations and societal pressures that have been placed upon him. Away from the noise of the world, he is left with nothing but himself. And in that stillness, he begins to ask the most important questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What do I truly value? These are questions that no one else can answer for him. And their answers are not found in the opinions of others, but in the quiet corners of his soul. In the presence of others, a man often wears masks, roles he feels compelled to play to fit in, to please, or to conform. But when he is alone, those masks fall away. He confronts his raw, unfiltered self, and though it can be uncomfortable at first, it is necessary. In this solitude, he begins to discern his strengths, acknowledge his weaknesses, and embrace the unique design that makes him who he is. Self-discovery is not a momentary event, it is a process. It requires patience and honesty. It means being willing to confront past failures and regrets without letting them define the future. It means questioning inherited beliefs and values, not to discard them, but to understand whether they align with his authentic self. This process is not easy, but it is liberating, for it allows a man to walk a path that is truly his own. Through self-discovery, a man gains a sense of purpose that is deeply personal and unshakable. He no longer seeks validation from others because he understands his worth. He realizes that his value is not tied to what he does, what he owns, or how others perceive him, but to the unique contribution he is meant to bring into the world. In this journey, a man also learns to accept himself. He acknowledges his imperfections but does not let them overshadow his potential. He celebrates his victories, no matter how small, and uses them as stepping stones toward greater achievements. Solitude becomes a mirror, reflecting not only who he is, but who he is becoming. This period of self-discovery transforms him from within. It creates a deep sense of alignment, where his thoughts, words, and actions flow from a place of authenticity. The man who spends time alone is not running from the world, he is reconnecting with his inner self, finding the compass that will guide him through the complexities of life with clarity and confidence. Inner strength is forged in the quiet moments when a man stands alone without the reassurance of others to lean on. It is in solitude that he discovers the depth of his resilience, the power of his determination, and the capacity of his will to endure. When no one is around to encourage or validate him, he learns to draw strength from within, tapping into a source that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. In the absence of the crowd, a man confronts his fears and insecurities head on. There is no one to mask his vulnerabilities or distract him from his doubts. But instead of being overwhelmed, he learns to face these challenges with courage. Solitude becomes the training ground where he overcomes his inner battles, strengthening his character and fortifying his spirit. The more he leans into these moments of difficulty, the more he realizes that his strength is not dependent on others, but on the resolve he builds within himself. Time alone also cultivates independence. It teaches a man to trust his judgment and make decisions without the need for constant advice or approval. This independence does not isolate him from others. Rather, it empowers him to stand firm in his convictions, even when those convictions go against the grain. He becomes the kind of man who can walk his own path with confidence, knowing that his strength is rooted in principles and not in the fleeting opinions of those around him. Solitude also sharpens his focus. When the distractions of the world fade, he becomes more aware of his inner capacities. He starts to recognize the strength of his mind and the endurance of his spirit. In this clarity, he pushes himself beyond perceived limits, testing what he thought he could not achieve. These private victories, won in moments of solitude, build an unshakable confidence that carries him through the visible challenges of life. Inner strength is not about appearing unbreakable. It is about learning to rise every time you fall. Solitude teaches this lesson in the most profound way. When a man is alone, he is forced to be his own motivator, his own encourager, and his own guide. This reliance on self builds a foundation of resilience that no storm can erode. He begins to see setbacks not as failures, but as opportunities to grow stronger. As a man spends time alone, he also deepens his capacity for patience and perseverance. He learns to wait for the right moment and to endure periods of uncertainty without giving up. This patience is a hallmark of inner strength, for it reflects a man who trusts the process and remains steadfast even when outcomes are unclear. Over time, he becomes a pillar not just for himself, but for those who look to him for guidance and support. Clarity of vision is one of the greatest gifts a man gains when he spends time alone. In solitude, the distractions that cloud his judgment and blur his focus begin to fade away. The noise of external opinions, the chaos of daily life, and the competing demands for his attention are silenced, leaving him with the space to think deeply and intentionally about his life. It is in these moments of quiet reflection that he begins to see his path with greater precision and purpose. When a man is surrounded by constant activity, his thoughts can become scattered, pulled in multiple directions by the urgencies of others. But in solitude, he learns to sort through his thoughts, separating what is important from what is trivial. He begins to identify the things that truly matter, the goals, dreams, and values that resonate with his soul. With this clarity, he can align his actions with his vision, moving forward with confidence and determination. Solitude also allows a man to question his direction without fear of judgment. In the quiet, he can ask himself whether the life he is living aligns with the purpose he feels called to fulfill. He can challenge the choices he has made, not to dwell on regrets, but to ensure he is walking a path that reflects his true self. This honest self-assessment is crucial, for it prevents him from being carried away by trends or the expectations of others. Through time alone, a man gains a deeper understanding of his priorities. He begins to see what truly deserves his energy and attention. This clarity helps him to avoid the distractions that can derail his progress. He learns to say no to things that do not serve his purpose, freeing himself to focus on what will bring him closer to his goals. Clarity of vision is not just about knowing what to pursue, it is also about understanding how to pursue it. In solitude, a man can strategize and plan without interference. He can consider his next steps, anticipate challenges, and refine his approach. This time of focused thinking enables him to act with intention rather than reacting impulsively to circumstances. Solitude also reveals the bigger picture. When a man steps away from the busyness of life, he gains perspective. He begins to see how the small decisions he makes each day contribute to the larger vision he holds for his life. This perspective brings a sense of peace and purpose as he understands that each step, no matter how small, is leading him towards something greater. In the quiet, a man's vision becomes sharper, not because he is striving harder, but because he is allowing himself to listen to his own inner voice, to the wisdom within, and to the divine guidance that often speaks in whispers. This clarity transforms not only how he sees his future, but also how he engages with the present, making every moment meaningful and every decision intentional. Creativity and innovation thrive in the stillness of solitude. When a man removes himself from the constant chatter of the world, he creates space for his mind to wander freely, unrestricted by the boundaries of conventional thinking. It is in these moments of quiet reflection that new ideas begin to take shape, ideas that might never have emerged amidst the noise and busyness of everyday life. In solitude, the mind finds room to explore possibilities. It begins to connect dots that once seemed unrelated, weaving together concepts and insights into something entirely new. Without the immediate influence of others, a man is free to think boldly and unconventionally. He is no longer limited by what has been done before or constrained by the fear of judgment. Instead, he can dream, experiment, and innovate without hesitation. Solitude also fosters deep focus, an essential ingredient for creativity. When a man spends time alone, he can immerse himself fully in his thoughts without interruption. This level of focus allows him to delve deeper into his ideas, refining them and developing them into practical solutions or groundbreaking concepts. The absence of distractions enables him to approach challenges with a fresh perspective, uncovering answers that may have eluded him in a crowded environment. Creativity is often sparked by curiosity, and solitude gives a man the time and freedom to explore his interests. He can read, observe, and learn without the pressure of external expectations. This exploration fuels his imagination, providing him with the raw materials needed to innovate. As he engages with new information and experiences, his mind begins to generate insights and connections that are uniquely his own. Time alone also encourages risk-taking and thought. When a man is by himself, he is not weighed down by the fear of criticism or failure. This freedom allows him to entertain ideas that might seem risky or unconventional. He can play with concepts, test new approaches, and push boundaries without worrying about immediate results. This process of trial and error is where true innovation is born, as bold ideas are refined and transformed into meaningful contributions. In solitude, a man also learns to listen to his intuition, that inner voice that often carries the seeds of creative breakthroughs. Intuition is easily drowned out by external noise, but in the quiet, it becomes a powerful guide. By tuning into this voice, a man can access insights that are both deeply personal and universally impactful. The quiet moments of solitude become a sanctuary where creativity flourishes and innovation takes root. They allow a man to access the depths of his mind, unlocking the potential that often remains hidden in the hustle and bustle of daily life. It is in these moments that the sparks of inspiration ignite, leading to ideas that have the power to transform not only his own life, but also the world around him. Emotional maturity is cultivated in the quiet spaces where a man is alone with his thoughts and feelings. In solitude, he is forced to confront the emotions he might otherwise avoid or suppress. Without the distractions of the outside world, he begins to recognize and understand the complexities of his inner life, his fears, his frustrations, his desires, and his joys. This process of self-awareness is the foundation of emotional maturity, as it allows a man to identify what he feels and why he feels it. When a man spends time alone, he develops the ability to process his emotions without reacting impulsively. Instead of being swept away by anger, sadness, or anxiety, he learns to sit with these feelings, examining them with patience and clarity. He becomes less reactive and more reflective, gaining control over his responses to life's challenges. This self-regulation not only strengthens his character, but also builds resilience, enabling him to navigate difficulties with a calm and steady demeanor. Solitude teaches a man how to take responsibility for his emotions. When he is alone, there is no one else to blame for how he feels or how he reacts. This absence of external influences forces him to own his feelings and the actions they inspire. He learns that while he cannot always control what happens to him, he can control how he responds. This sense of ownership over his emotional state is a hallmark of maturity, as it shifts the focus from external circumstances to internal growth. Time spent in solitude also fosters empathy and compassion. By reflecting on his own struggles and vulnerabilities, a man gains a deeper understanding of the human experience. He becomes more attuned to the emotions of others, recognizing that everyone carries their own burdens and battles. This understanding makes him more patient, kind, and supportive in his relationships, as he learns to approach others with the same grace and understanding he has cultivated for himself. In solitude, a man also gains clarity about his emotional triggers. He begins to notice patterns in his behavior and identify situations that evoke strong reactions. With this awareness, he can work to address the root causes of these triggers rather than merely reacting to their effects. This intentional effort to understand and manage his emotions fosters a sense of balance and stability, even in the face of adversity. Solitude helps a man to build emotional independence. Instead of relying on others to validate his feelings or provide constant reassurance, he learns to comfort and encourage himself. This inner strength does not mean he shuts others out, but rather that he approaches relationships from a place of wholeness, bringing stability instead of seeking it. He becomes a source of strength and peace for those around him because he has first cultivated these qualities within himself. Through this process, a man learns to prioritize long-term growth over short-term gratification. Emotional maturity is not about avoiding emotions, but about learning to navigate them with wisdom and grace. Solitude provides the space for this growth to occur, transforming a man into someone who approaches life with emotional intelligence, resilience, and compassion. Spiritual growth flourishes in the sacred space of solitude, where a man is free from the distractions of the world and can focus entirely on his connection with God. In these quiet moments, he begins to listen more deeply, not to the noise around him, but to the still small voice within. It is in this silence that he senses the presence of the divine and becomes more attuned to the guidance that shapes his purpose and destiny. When a man is alone, he has the opportunity to reflect on his life and his choices through the lens of faith. He can examine his actions, thoughts, and motives with honesty, seeking alignment with the values and principles he believes in. This process of introspection allows him to identify areas where he may have strayed from his spiritual path and to take steps toward realignment. It is in solitude that repentance, renewal, and restoration take place as he opens his heart to divine grace. Solitude also provides the time and space for prayer and meditation, which are essential for spiritual growth. In prayer, a man lays his burdens before God, finding peace and strength to face life's challenges. In meditation, he quiets his mind, allowing divine wisdom to fill his thoughts and bring clarity to his decisions. These practices deepen his relationship with God, transforming it from a mere ritual into a profound and personal connection. In the stillness of solitude, a man also gains a greater understanding of his purpose. He begins to see his life not as a series of random events, but as part of a divine plan. This perspective shifts his focus from self-centered ambitions to a life of service and impact. He understands that his gifts and talents are not just for his benefit, but are meant to bless others and fulfill a higher calling. Spiritual growth in solitude is also marked by the development of faith. Away from the noise of doubt and negativity, a man can reflect on the promises of God and build a stronger trust in his timing and plan. This faith becomes the foundation upon which he stands, giving him the confidence to move forward even when the path ahead is unclear. It is in these moments of quiet surrender that his faith is deepened, transforming his fear into courage and his uncertainty into hope. In solitude, a man learns to hear the whispers of divine guidance. Life's demands and distractions often drown out this voice, but in the quiet, it becomes unmistakable. He learns to discern between his own desires and the direction of the Spirit, aligning his steps with the will of God. This alignment brings peace and purpose as he begins to walk a path that is both fulfilling and meaningful. Solitude also reveals the power of gratitude. As a man reflects on his life, he begins to recognize the blessings he may have overlooked. This awareness fosters a spirit of thankfulness, which in turn deepens his connection to God. Gratitude becomes a source of joy and strength, reminding him of the goodness and faithfulness of the divine, even in difficult times. Through solitude, a man is transformed spiritually. He becomes more grounded in his faith, more attuned to divine wisdom, and more committed to living a life that reflects the principles he holds dear. This spiritual growth not only enriches his own life, but also equips him to inspire and uplift those around him. Leadership preparation begins in the quiet moments of solitude, where a man steps away from the demands of the crowd to refine his vision, values, and character. In these moments, he gains the clarity and self-awareness necessary to lead effectively. Solitude becomes the incubator where potential is nurtured and the qualities of a true leader are developed. In isolation, a man has the opportunity to reflect deeply on his purpose and the responsibility that leadership entails. He begins to understand that leadership is not about authority or recognition, but about service and influence. This shift in perspective is crucial, as it shapes the way he approaches his role, not as a position to be exploited, but as a calling to be fulfilled. Solitude allows a man to strengthen his decision-making skills. Without the immediate input of others, he learns to think critically and weigh options independently. This process sharpens his judgment and helps him to trust his instincts. A leader must often make decisions in uncertain or high-pressure situations, and time spent alone equips him with the confidence and clarity to do so with wisdom. Time alone also fosters discipline and focus, both of which are essential for leadership. In solitude, a man learns to prioritize his time and energy, focusing on what truly matters. He sets goals and develops the habits needed to achieve them. This discipline becomes the backbone of his leadership, allowing him to remain steadfast in his vision despite distractions or setbacks. Character development is another vital aspect of leadership preparation that solitude facilitates. A man in solitude is faced with the truth of who he is, his strengths, weaknesses, and areas for growth. This honest self-assessment helps him to cultivate humility, integrity, and resilience. Leadership requires more than skill. It demands a solid foundation of character that earns trust and respect. Solitude gives a man the space to build this foundation, ensuring that his leadership is rooted in authenticity and not in pretense. In solitude, a man also gains a deeper understanding of the people he is called to lead. By reflecting on his own experiences and challenges, he develops empathy and compassion. He begins to see leadership not as a means of control, but as an opportunity to empower and uplift others. This perspective transforms the way he interacts with his team, fostering an environment of collaboration and mutual respect. Preparation for leadership also involves vision casting, and solitude is the perfect setting for this. Away from the noise and distractions of daily life, a man can dream and strategize without limitation. He envisions not only where he wants to lead, but also how he plans to get there. This time of focused planning ensures that his leadership is intentional and purpose-driven, not reactive or aimless. Lastly, solitude provides a man with the opportunity to recharge and reflect. Leadership can be draining, and without moments of rest and renewal, a leader risks burnout. In solitude, a man reconnects with his purpose and strengthens his resolve. He gains the emotional and mental fortitude needed to face the challenges of leadership with courage and determination. Leadership preparation is not just about acquiring skills or knowledge. It is about becoming the kind of person who can inspire, guide, and serve others. Solitude is where this transformation begins, shaping a man into a leader who leads not for personal gain, but for the greater good. A man who embraces solitude discovers that it is not a place of emptiness, but a space of empowerment. It is in the quiet moments alone that he sharpens his vision, builds inner strength, and develops the emotional and spiritual maturity required to face life's challenges. Solitude becomes his teacher, shaping him into a man of purpose, resilience, and leadership. The strong message is this: do not fear the time spent alone, for it is in these moments that you grow into the person you were meant to be. Solitude is not isolation, it is preparation. It equips you with the clarity, courage, and conviction to walk your path with confidence, to rise above distractions, and to lead with wisdom and compassion. Embrace the power of solitude, for it is the foundation upon which greatness is built. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am so grateful you have joined me today. And I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. A wise woman is not easily moved by the noise of the world, nor does she engage in battles that drain her strength. She understands that her peace, her purpose, and her destiny are too valuable to be jeopardized by the wrong associations. Her wisdom doesn't always shout. Sometimes it moves in silence, carefully and deliberately. In her silence, she identifies those who are not meant to journey with her. She does not announce her departure or explain her reasons. Instead, she gracefully steps away from three types of people who threaten the harmony of her life. First, she cuts off those who bring negativity into her world. These are the ones who question her dreams, cast shadows over her light, and bring clouds of doubt into her atmosphere. She knows that their words and actions can poison the soil where her vision is planted, so she removes them to protect her growth. Second, she distances herself from those who lack respect. Respect is the foundation of every healthy relationship, and she understands that anyone who devalues her time, disregards her boundaries, or dismisses her worth cannot have a place in her circle. She doesn't argue or demand respect. Instead, she quietly removes herself and redirects her energy to those who honor her. Finally, she separates from those who distract her from her purpose. These individuals may not always appear harmful, but their presence detours her from the path she is destined to walk. She recognizes that not everyone who enters her life is meant to stay, and sometimes love is expressed through letting go. This woman's strength lies in her ability to choose silence over confrontation and wisdom over attachment. She knows that not everyone will understand her decisions, but she doesn't need their approval. Her focus is not on being liked, but on being effective in her calling. As she walks forward free from unnecessary weight, she becomes lighter, stronger, and more focused. Her silence speaks volumes. It declares her independence, her clarity, and her commitment to her destiny. She doesn't need applause for the choices she makes, because the fruit of her wisdom will speak for itself. A wise woman knows that cutting off certain people is not an act of hatred, but an act of love for herself, her purpose, and the future she is building. In her silence, she finds strength. In her wisdom, she finds peace. And in her courage, she finds freedom. A wise woman understands that the power of influence shapes her thoughts, emotions, and actions. She is deeply aware that those she allows into her space carry an energy that can either build her up or tear her down. Negative influences are not always loud or obvious. Sometimes they come as subtle whispers of doubt, disguised as concern or as consistent pessimism that overshadows her optimism. These individuals drain her energy, planting seeds of discouragement where faith and hope once thrived. She knows that every word and action has the potential to either nurture her purpose or hinder it. The negative influence brings nothing constructive to the table. Instead, it spreads fear, amplifies insecurities, and creates an environment where dreams wither instead of flourish. This influence doesn't celebrate her victories, it questions them. It doesn't encourage her ambitions, it undermines them with subtle remarks or outright disapproval. Over time, she begins to recognize the impact of these forces on her spirit. She notices how her focus wavers, how her confidence diminishes, and how her vision becomes clouded. A wise woman does not allow these influences to linger. She makes a conscious decision to protect her heart and mind, knowing that her growth requires an environment of positivity, support, and encouragement. Without confrontation or bitterness, she removes herself from the reach of negativity. She understands that her peace and progress depend on the atmosphere she creates around her. She surrounds herself with voices that uplift, with people who celebrate her journey, and with relationships that add value to her life. By cutting off the negative influence, she takes a bold step toward protecting her purpose and preserving her inner strength. A wise woman understands the importance of mutual respect in every relationship. She knows that respect is the foundation upon which trust, understanding, and harmony are built. When someone consistently disregards her boundaries, devalues her time, or belittles her contributions, she recognizes it as a sign that they do not honor her presence in their life. Disrespect comes in many forms. It can be subtle, like ignoring her voice in conversations, or overt, like dismissing her feelings or belittling her dreams. It may come from people who expect her to always be available yet offer nothing in return. It can be shown in thoughtless actions, inconsiderate words, or a lack of appreciation for the effort she puts into relationships. A wise woman observes these patterns and understands that allowing disrespect to persist only diminishes her self-worth. She knows her value and refuses to settle for treatment that undermines it. She doesn't demand respect because she understands that true respect cannot be forced, it must be freely given. When it is absent, she makes the courageous choice to walk away. This decision is not made in anger or resentment, but in wisdom and self-love. She understands that staying connected to disrespectful individuals only drains her emotionally and spiritually. It creates an environment where her confidence and peace are constantly under attack. By stepping away, she protects her dignity and ensures that her energy is spent on relationships that honor her worth. She chooses to invest her time and heart in spaces where mutual respect thrives. In doing so, she teaches others how to treat her not through arguments or ultimatums, but through the standards she sets and upholds for herself. Her silence in the face of disrespect is not weakness, it is strength. It is a declaration that she values herself enough to choose peace over conflict and respect over disregard. A wise woman is deeply aware of her purpose and the path she must walk to fulfill it. She understands that every moment of her life is a gift and every opportunity a stepping stone toward her destiny. However, not everyone who enters her life shares her focus or vision. Distractors often appear well-meaning, but their presence pulls her away from the clarity and direction she has worked so hard to cultivate. Distractors may come as companions who encourage her to settle for less than she deserves. They may steer her into unnecessary drama, meaningless pursuits, or distractions that consume her time and energy without yielding growth. Sometimes they disguise themselves as helpers, offering advice that leads her astray or keeps her stuck in cycles of procrastination and doubt. She notices how these relationships make her lose sight of her goals. They disrupt her rhythm, derail her focus, and leave her feeling scattered instead of purposeful. She realizes that their influence, while not always malicious, is misaligned with her vision. These individuals often fail to understand the weight of her calling and, as a result, unintentionally hinder her progress. A wise woman chooses to guard her focus fiercely. She knows that her energy is finite and that her time cannot be wasted on people or activities that do not contribute to her growth or align with her mission. She does not argue or explain her decision to distance herself. She simply steps back, reclaiming the space and energy she needs to pursue what truly matters. This separation is an act of wisdom, not rejection. It is a reflection of her commitment to living intentionally and ensuring that nothing diverts her from the path she is called to walk. By letting go of distractors, she creates room for clarity, productivity, and the kind of relationships that inspire and propel her forward. Her focus becomes sharper, her steps more deliberate, and her journey more fulfilling. A wise woman recognizes the subtle tactics of manipulators and understands the importance of protecting her heart and mind from their influence. Manipulators are skilled at disguising their intentions, often appearing kind, supportive, or even selfless, while working to exploit her emotions, generosity, or trust for their own gain. These individuals know how to pull strings, making her feel obligated to meet their needs while neglecting her own. They may use guilt, flattery, or subtle threats to control her decisions, creating an illusion of dependency. Over time, their presence becomes draining, leaving her emotionally exhausted and questioning her self-worth. A wise woman sees through these tactics. She observes the patterns of manipulation, the way they twist her words to serve their purposes, the way they demand more while giving less, and the way they create confusion to maintain power over her. She understands that these behaviors are not acts of love or care, but strategies to dominate and benefit at her expense. She knows her value and refuses to be reduced to a pawn in someone else's game. Without confrontation or drama, she begins to step back. She limits her availability, withdraws her energy, and creates firm boundaries that manipulators cannot cross. Her silence becomes her strength, a declaration that she will no longer allow her kindness to be exploited or her life to be controlled. This decision is not easy, as manipulators often resist losing their grip. They may attempt to reassert their control through more manipulation or by playing the victim. But the wise woman remains steadfast, understanding that protecting her peace and integrity is far more important than pleasing those who seek to harm her. By cutting off manipulators, she reclaims her freedom and self-respect. She surrounds herself with relationships rooted in mutual respect and genuine care, knowing that her energy is best invested in people who truly honor her. In choosing to walk away, she asserts her independence and strengthens her resolve, ensuring that her journey is guided by wisdom, not manipulation. A wise woman understands the power of words and the influence they have on relationships, reputations, and emotional well-being. She knows that gossipers thrive on spreading negativity, distorting truths, and creating unnecessary conflicts. These individuals often mask their harmful behavior as harmless conversation or concern, but their true intent is to sow discord and draw attention to themselves. She observes how gossipers operate, using their words to tear others down rather than build them up. They thrive on secrets, drama, and exaggerated tales, finding satisfaction in being the source of information, regardless of the damage it causes. A wise woman recognizes that engaging with such people not only compromises her own integrity, but also puts her in a position where her words could be twisted and used against her. Gossipers often bring chaos into her life, making her question the trustworthiness of those around her. They shift the focus from meaningful conversations to trivial, harmful discussions that serve no purpose but to divide and distract. A wise woman quickly discerns that their presence disrupts her peace and distracts her from her purpose. She chooses to distance herself from gossipers, not with judgment, but with discernment. She knows that what someone says about others behind their backs is a reflection of what they might say about her in her absence. To protect her heart and maintain her dignity, she removes herself from their sphere of influence. This decision is not about superiority, but about safeguarding her values and aligning with truth and positivity. A wise woman seeks relationships built on trust, authenticity, and encouragement. She chooses to focus on conversations that uplift and inspire rather than tear down. By cutting off gossipers, she creates a space where honesty and respect can flourish. In her silence, she sends a powerful message. She will not partake in or condone actions that harm others or disrupt her peace. Her choice to walk away is an act of wisdom, protecting her mind and spirit from the toxicity of gossip. In doing so, she strengthens her character and preserves her focus on what truly matters. A wise woman is deeply aware of the subtle and corrosive impact of jealousy. She understands that while jealousy is a natural emotion, unchecked envy can transform relationships into toxic environments. Jealous companions are those who, instead of celebrating her success, feel threatened by it. They might smile outwardly, but their actions and words often reveal resentment, insecurity, or a desire to see her stumble. These individuals may downplay her achievements, criticize her choices, or compare themselves to her in ways that create tension rather than unity. Their jealousy often manifests as passive-aggressive remarks, attempts to compete unnecessarily, or a lack of genuine support when she reaches milestones. Over time, their behavior can undermine her confidence and create a space where she feels unappreciated or even isolated. A wise woman recognizes that jealousy stems from a place of insecurity within the other person, but she also understands that it is not her responsibility to fix or endure it. She notices how these companions shift the energy in the room, turning moments of joy into opportunities for judgment or envy. Their inability to celebrate her growth reveals their struggle to embrace their own journey. Rather than confronting them with hostility, she chooses to step back quietly and protect her peace. She knows that addressing jealousy directly can often escalate the tension, as jealous individuals may not even be fully aware of their behavior or willing to admit it. Instead, she creates distance, allowing herself the freedom to thrive without the shadow of comparison or resentment. This decision is not about rejecting these individuals, but about prioritizing her well-being. She understands that her energy is best invested in relationships where mutual encouragement and support are the foundation. By stepping away from jealous companions, she makes room for people who genuinely celebrate her victories and walk alongside her with love and understanding. In distancing herself, she guards her joy and protects the space she needs to grow. She chooses to surround herself with those who inspire her and who draw inspiration from her journey, fostering an environment of mutual respect and shared success. Her silence is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to her wisdom as she moves forward without allowing jealousy to hinder her path or dim her light. A wise woman understands that trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. It is a sacred bond built over time through honesty, loyalty, and mutual respect. However, when someone consistently betrays that trust, they reveal a pattern that cannot be ignored. Betrayal comes in many forms: broken promises, disloyal actions, or deliberate deceit, and each one chips away at the foundation of the relationship. She observes how consistent betrayers operate, often cloaking their actions in excuses or apologies while repeating the same behavior. They might promise change but fail to follow through, leaving her in a cycle of hurt and disappointment. Their words and actions are misaligned, and over time she recognizes that their betrayal is not a mistake, but a choice, a reflection of their character and priorities. A wise woman understands that tolerating consistent betrayal only enables it. She realizes that allowing such individuals to remain in her life sends the message that their behavior is acceptable. This not only undermines her self-worth, but also creates an environment where she cannot fully trust or feel secure. Rather than confronting them repeatedly or seeking closure, she chooses to step away. Her decision is not driven by anger or revenge, but by a commitment to protect her heart and preserve her peace. She knows that trust, once broken repeatedly, cannot easily be restored, and it is better to release the relationship than to remain in a cycle of pain. Walking away from consistent betrayers is not easy. These individuals are often skilled at justifying their actions or evoking sympathy to maintain their presence in her life. But a wise woman sees through their manipulation and prioritizes her well-being over their excuses. She understands that true growth requires letting go of relationships that hinder her from living authentically and freely. By cutting off consistent betrayers, she reclaims her power and reinforces her boundaries. She opens the door to relationships built on trust, honesty, and loyalty, connections that uplift and strengthen her rather than deplete her. In her silence, she demonstrates her strength, showing that she values her peace and dignity more than maintaining connections that cause harm. Her decision to move forward without betrayers is an act of wisdom and self-respect. It is a declaration that she will no longer tolerate behavior that compromises her happiness or integrity. In doing so, she creates a life rooted in trust and surrounded by people who honor her loyalty and reciprocate it. A wise woman understands that her peace, purpose, and progress are far too valuable to be jeopardized by the wrong connections. She does not sever ties out of bitterness or pride, but out of wisdom and self-respect. Her decisions are rooted in the knowledge that not everyone deserves access to her life, her energy, or her heart. In her silence, she communicates a powerful truth. Walking away from what no longer serves her is not weakness, but strength. It is an act of love for herself, her future, and the life she is building. By cutting off negativity, disrespect, distraction, manipulation, gossip, jealousy, and betrayal, she clears the path for growth, joy, and purpose to flourish. Her life becomes a reflection of her wisdom, her boundaries, and her unwavering commitment to living authentically. She doesn't need to announce her decisions because her actions speak louder than words. In choosing herself, she sets an example for others to value their own worth and to protect the sacredness of their journey. Let her story remind us all, cutting ties with the wrong people is not rejection, it is redirection. It is choosing to elevate, to protect what matters, and to align with the greatness within. A wise woman knows that her destiny is far too significant to be weighed down by those who cannot rise with her. In her silence, she finds freedom, and in her freedom, she soars. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There is something powerful about a woman who knows what to reveal and what to conceal. The greatest women in history were not those who gave everything away too soon, but those who understood the art of mystery, wisdom, and discretion. A woman is a treasure, and treasures are never found lying in the open. They are hidden, protected, and only discovered by those who are worthy. A woman's emotions are her strength, but they must be guarded. Not every man is mature enough to handle the depth of her heart. If she exposes all her emotions too soon, she gives power to someone who has not proven he can carry that weight. Strength is not in telling everything, it is in knowing what to hold back. A woman must protect the sacred parts of her heart, revealing them only to a man who has earned that trust. Her vision and purpose are not for public display. A woman must never allow a man to shape her dreams before he understands them. A man must prove that he aligns with her destiny, not that he wants to reshape it. Too many women lose themselves by revealing their dreams to the wrong man, only to watch them be dismissed, belittled, or stolen. A true queen does not allow just anyone to sit beside her on the throne. Financial independence is a woman's secret weapon. No man should ever know her full financial capacity unless he has proven that he values her for who she is, not what she possesses. If a man only respects her when he knows her wealth, he is not a man worth respecting. A wise woman understands that security is not just about money, it is about knowing when to reveal her strength and when to let a man show his. Her past is her testimony, not her burden. Every woman has scars, but not every man is worthy of hearing the stories behind them. Some men will use a woman's past against her, turning her vulnerabilities into weapons. A woman must choose wisely who she shares her history with, for the wrong ears will turn it into gossip, but the right heart will turn it into honor. Private struggles are not for public display. A woman must never make the mistake of revealing every challenge she faces. There is power in silence. Strength is built in the unseen battles, and wisdom comes from knowing that not every fight needs a witness. A woman's resilience is in her ability to endure without needing constant validation. A man must earn the right to know her struggles, not be given access to them by default. Her standards are her shield. A wise woman observes a man's actions, not just his words. She does not reveal every test she sets for him. If she tells a man exactly what to do to win her heart, he may pretend to be the man she desires rather than proving he already is. The right man will rise to the occasion without needing instructions, but the wrong man will only perform when he knows the script. Love is not a game, but it is a process of discernment. A woman must never reveal her ultimate intentions too soon. Until a man shows his commitment, she must guard her heart. Love is not just about giving, it is about ensuring that what is given is treasured. A woman who gives too soon may lose her worth in the eyes of a man who did not have to fight for it. A woman who makes a man earn her trust will find herself with a man who values it. A woman is a masterpiece, and masterpieces are not displayed in the open for anyone to touch. They are placed in galleries protected by barriers and admired by those who understand their value. A woman who knows what to hide is a woman who commands respect. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Not out of pride, but out of self-worth. A woman's emotions are a force of nature, powerful and deep, like the ocean. They carry within them the capacity to nurture, to heal, to inspire, and to love unconditionally. But just like the ocean, Not everyone who approaches understands its depth. Some will admire its beauty from the shore, some will attempt to navigate its waves, and others will seek to control it without respecting its power. A wise woman understands that her emotions are not for everyone to access. She must be selective about who she allows to see the depths of her soul, because not every man is equipped to handle the weight of her feelings. When a woman reveals too much of her emotional world too soon, she risks giving power to someone who may not cherish or protect it. Not every man is prepared to deal with the intensity of a woman's love, her fears, or the vulnerability she carries. Some men, rather than honoring that depth, will exploit it, using her openness as a tool for manipulation or control. Others may become overwhelmed, unsure of how to respond, and retreat rather than step up to meet her where she is. A woman must understand that emotional intimacy is built over time, not freely handed over to someone who has yet to earn that trust. A woman's emotions should be handled like a treasure, revealed layer by layer, as she observes how a man responds to each part of her. Does he listen with patience? Does he validate her feelings without dismissing them? Does he create a space where she feels safe to express herself? These are the questions she must ask before she reveals the depths of her heart. Her emotions are a sacred part of who she is, and only a man who proves his ability to honor them should be allowed to experience their fullness. A woman's vision and purpose are the blueprint of her destiny. They are the fire that fuels her journey, the calling that shapes her decisions, and the foundation upon which she builds her future. A wise woman understands that a purpose is not up for negotiation, nor should it be handed over for validation. Not every man is meant to walk beside her in fulfilling that vision, and she must be discerning about who she allows to influence it. When a woman openly shares her dreams with the wrong man, she risks having them minimized, dismissed, or even stolen. Some men, out of insecurity or fear, will attempt to reshape her ambitions to fit their own desires. Others may feel threatened by a woman who knows where she is going and will subtly discourage her, making her question her own abilities. A woman must protect her purpose the way a gardener protects a delicate seed, only nurturing it in an environment that allows it to grow. A man's role in a woman's life should never be to dictate her path, but to support and enhance it. Before revealing the full extent of her vision, a woman must observe whether a man encourages her growth or sees her purpose as competition. Does he celebrate her progress? Or does he feel intimidated by her success? Does he challenge her to aim higher? Or does he try to make her shrink? These answers determine whether he is worthy of knowing the depths of her purpose. A woman's vision is too valuable to be placed in the hands of someone who does not respect it. Until a man has proven that he aligns with her destiny, she must guard her purpose with wisdom, revealing only what is necessary and keeping the rest for the one who truly understands her mission. A woman's financial independence is not just about money, it is about power, security, and freedom. It is the ability to make choices without dependence, to stand tall without fear, and to walk away from situations that do not honor her worth. A wise woman understands that financial strength is not something to be openly displayed or handed over without discernment. Not every man should know the full extent of what she owns, earns, or invests. Her financial status must remain a guarded aspect of her life until a man has proven he values her for who she is, not for what she possesses. Some men are drawn to a woman's success not because they respect her, but because they seek to benefit from it. A man who has not built his own foundation may see a financially stable woman as an opportunity rather than a partner. He may admire her ambition but secretly resent it. He may praise her independence but attempt to control it. A woman who exposes too much of her financial capacity too soon may find herself being manipulated, used, or even pressured into taking responsibility for a man who was never meant to be her burden. A woman must observe how a man treats her when he assumes she has nothing to offer but herself. Does he still respect her? Does he still pursue her with integrity? Does he still see her as valuable? A man who truly loves a woman will not measure her worth by her bank account, but by her character, her vision, and her heart. Until a man has shown that he can be trusted, a woman must keep her financial independence as a hidden strength, ensuring that she is never valued for what she has, but for who she is. A woman's past hurts and scars are chapters of her story, but not every man deserves to read them. Pain is a teacher, and every wound carries a lesson, but wisdom is knowing that not all lessons should be shared too soon. Some men will hear a woman's past, not to understand her, but to use it against her. Others may sympathize, but lack the emotional maturity to handle the weight of her experiences. A wise woman understands that her past is not a confession to be laid bare before an untested heart. When a woman reveals her deepest wounds too soon, she risks exposing herself to judgment, pity, or even manipulation. Some men, rather than bringing healing, will exploit her vulnerabilities, making her feel unworthy or using her past as an excuse to control her. A woman must ask herself, does this man create a safe space for my pain? Or does he make me feel ashamed of it? Does he listen with compassion? Or does he react with discomfort and avoidance? True love does not seek to pry open wounds, but to honor the strength it took to survive them. Healing is a personal journey, and a woman must never feel pressure to reveal what she is still processing. Not every scar needs to be explained, and not every pain needs an audience. The right man will not demand access to her past to determine her worth. He will see her for who she has become, not for what she has endured. Until a man has proven his emotional maturity, a woman must guard her history, revealing only what she chooses in her own time to someone who will cherish her, not for her wounds, but for the wisdom they have given her. A woman's private struggles are not for public display, nor are they meant to be shared with just anyone. Strength is not in how much she reveals, but in how wisely she guards the battle she fights. Life will test her, circumstances will challenge her, and moments of hardship will shape her. But a wise woman understands that not everyone is meant to witness her process. Some struggles are meant to be carried in silence, worked through in prayer, and overcome with resilience. When a woman shares her struggles too freely, she risks placing her burdens in the hands of those who do not know how to handle them. Some will listen out of curiosity, not concern. Others may offer temporary comfort, but lack the strength to stand with her in difficult seasons. And there are those who, rather than helping her rise, will use her struggles as a way to break her confidence. A woman must discern who truly cares for her well-being and who simply enjoys knowing her weaknesses. A woman's challenges do not define her, but how she handles them does. The way she carries herself in adversity reveals more about her character than the struggle itself. A man who sees her standing strong without always explaining her battles will admire her even more. The right man does not need to know every detail of her hardships to respect her strength. He will see it in her actions, her decisions, and the way she refuses to be defeated. Not every burden needs to be spoken, and not every difficulty needs an audience. A woman's struggles are sacred. And until a man has proven that he can truly support her, she must keep them guarded, sharing only with those who have earned the right to walk beside her in the journey. A woman's standards and tests are the filters that separate the worthy from the unworthy. They are not barriers to keep love out, but boundaries to ensure only the right kind of love gets in. A wise woman does not lower her standards to accommodate a man. She upholds them to reveal his true character. But she also understands that her standards must be guarded, not announced. The moment a woman openly reveals every test a man must pass, she gives him a script to follow rather than allowing him to reveal his true nature. A man should not meet expectations because he was told to. He should meet them because they align with who he truly is. If a woman tells a man exactly what she wants, he may pretend to be that man, saying all the right words and performing all the right actions, not out of sincerity, but out of strategy. But when a woman observes him in silence, without revealing the tests he is undergoing, she will see his natural instincts, how he treats her when he doesn't think he's being tested, how he handles adversity, how he responds to her boundaries. A woman must watch carefully. Does he respect her without being asked to? Does he show consistency even when no reward is in sight? Does he lead with integrity, or does he only act right when he knows she's watching? A man's true character is revealed in what he does when he thinks no one is paying attention. Her standards are not demands, they are reflections of her self-worth. A wise woman never lowers them to accommodate a man's potential. Instead, she stands firm and allows the right man to rise to meet her where she is, without needing instruction, persuasion, or compromise. A woman's ultimate intentions in love are the most sacred part of her heart, and they should never be revealed too soon. Love is not something to be handed over freely to a man who has not yet proven his commitment. A wise woman understands that attraction is easy, but true love requires discernment. If she reveals too early that she desires marriage, devotion, or a lifelong commitment, she risks giving a man the advantage of pretending to be what she wants rather than showing her who he truly is. A man should not love a woman because he knows her end goal. He should love her because he values her for who she is. If a woman openly declares that she is seeking a serious relationship, some men may adjust their behavior to fit the role she desires, not because they are ready, but because they enjoy the benefits of her love. A man who truly wants to be with her will not need constant reminders of what she expects. He will take the lead in proving his intentions through his actions, not just his words. A woman must protect her heart from being given away prematurely. Until a man has demonstrated consistency, emotional maturity, and a willingness to build a future with her, she should not fully disclose her deepest desires. She must observe if his intentions align with hers, if he pursues her with purpose, and if he respects the time it takes to establish a real connection. Love is not about rushing or convincing. It is about seeing who stays, who builds, and who chooses her without conditions. Her love is a treasure, and treasures are never placed in the hands of those who have not proven their ability to cherish and protect them. A wise woman allows love to unfold naturally, revealing her deepest desires only to the one who has earned the right to hold them. A wise woman understands that not everything about her should be laid bare for the world to see. Her emotions, her vision, her financial strength, her past wounds, her private struggles, her standards, and her ultimate intentions in love, these are treasures, not common possessions. She does not hide them out of fear, but out of wisdom, knowing that the right man will reveal himself through his actions, not just his words. A woman who guards these sacred parts of herself does not lose anything. Instead, she gains clarity, power, and the ability to choose a man who truly deserves her. The right man will not demand access to her soul without earning it. He will not be intimidated by her boundaries, but will respect them. He will not see her wisdom as a challenge, but as a standard to rise to. A woman must never be afraid to keep parts of herself hidden until she is certain of who she is dealing with. Those who genuinely care will stay. Those with wrong intentions will leave. And the one who truly deserves her will patiently uncover the depths of her heart with honor and respect. Guarding herself is not about playing games. It is about protecting the value that she carries. The rarest and most powerful women are not the ones who give everything away, but the ones who know their worth and reveal it only to those who have proven they can handle it.